What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, NVIDIA, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. And break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward as we have big data coming out in the morning, not to mention new developments on the charts. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Webull link. If you deposit any amount of money, you're guaranteed 12 free stocks. If you deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 in total. And deposit $25,000 or more and you're guaranteed 75. All friends in just 2 weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So I just want to mention that right now, SPY is technically more bullish because despite the dip that we got from yesterday, right, after all the news involving Israel and then also the market slowing down after ASML's earnings came out, we saw a lot of buyers that came back today and they defended our 20 EMA. So I mentioned in my morning video, we had to lose 579 if we lost the support. This would easily start dipping down to where this next imbalance happens to be. But if we held the support, we'd be looking for a nice rebound once again towards where this imbalance happens to be. I mentioned that 582 would be our target if this ended up holding. Now, we haven't broken 582 yet to really turn bullish, but we are still favoring the upwards direction now since we held support quite nicely. So I'll be watching this very, very carefully and report more data about this, but just know a couple of important things. Tomorrow is going to be Thursday, October 17th, 2024. 1 hour before the market opens, we have continuing and initial jobless claims coming out. Not to mention the Philly Fed employment, new orders, and prices paid reports also coming out. So look for some volatility as all of this is reported. On top of this, at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the industrial and manufacturing numbers coming out. So watch to see what this ends up leading to. On top of this, I want to mention that we have a couple of bill auctions, which could cause some more volatility, but the main time to watch for that is going to be before market open. So the main things are going to be initial jobless claims to look for volatility amidst this data report right here. This is going to be very important. So look and see what this leads to. This will give us more insights on how the jobs numbers are looking for the week. And then at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we also have the manufacturing numbers and industrial production numbers. So this may also cause more volatility. So watch to see what this leads to. These are the main times to watch for volatility tomorrow, right before the market ends up opening. Besides that, there's not really anything else that's too significant that's coming out in terms of our data, but look for more volatility before market open. Now, for something else, however, we have TSMC announcing their earnings before market open, not to mention a few others. And then after all the banks and such come out, we have very small banks announcing earnings. After the market closes, we also have Netflix announcing its earnings for tomorrow. This is going to be a very big one for tech. So watch and see what this gives us. This may cause a big move on Friday. So get ready for all of that. On top of this, when it comes to the way the market's moving, we're seeing the Dow Jones climbing another 300 points as buyers are continuing to step in. This necessarily does not mean the market is going to, rally forever, but it does suggest that so far we're not ready to see a massive crash or anything like that because there's a lot of buyers still defending. So with the market tip yesterday, yes, it was, some weakness that was developing on the charts, but we never lost our key support. So that ended up causing a rebound. So for now, the market remains bullish as long as that support holds. The Dow held up, so did the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq got bought back up, but it wasn't as strong as the S&P 500 because tech is still taking its time. However, with the rotation that was going on in the markets, there's still a lot of buyers. So we'll now break down the charts from here on out. So what do I see for the market moving forward, especially as we approach tomorrow? Here is my answer. When you look at the 4-hour time frame on SPY, as you guys can see, this is on a very, very nice looking upwards direction. But notice this very, very carefully. So right here, basically, what SPY was doing is when we go back to the charts from this time, we saw this big dip in September. Since then, notice we had this very, very nice looking bounce, right? But when you look at the chart, look at the green line right here. This is our 20 EMA. SPY was riding this as our first level of support. It bounced off this, bounced, held it very, very nicely. Then we got our period of volatility as October started. Seasonality kicked in, the market started dipping a little bit, and we came all the way down to our 50 EMA. That's the yellow line right here. But notice that we ended up holding it. So we came a little bit below it only to get bought back up again, and the buyers defended. Then once again, back on October 8th, so that was about a week ago, we saw buyers take us back above our 20 EMA, the green line. See the green line? And then what happened was we bounced off the 20 EMA, bounced, and then we ended up testing this yesterday/today. And so far, we're bouncing again. So that does suggest that we could see a bounce like this, how we kind of bounced here, we bounced here and here. And that suggests that we're still more bullish, right? We're still technically bullish. We did dip a bit. I said yesterday we have to watch for confirmation if we lose this or not. We were looking kind of weak yesterday with the news. I did mention that Israel is another factor, But for now, we haven't really seen this break. So we're still holding the key EMA. Now, if we're bearish, if you want to be bearish tomorrow, here's what you want to watch for. The first support's at 580 is very minor, but 579.78 to 580 is the main zone. If we lose 579.78 tomorrow, the green 20 EMA, if we lose this on the 4-hour time frame and close below it for 4 hours, there's a risk of us dumping all the way down to about the 575 area. Okay, so if we lose that support, we turn more bearish. If we don't lose 580, if we continue to hold above it, tomorrow we might dip a little bit, but then if we hold above that support, and we're looking for 582 as our resistance, hold above that, and I think we go all the way back up towards 584. So we might be trying to retest all-time highs again. The election is just a couple of weeks away. Some people may call it the scariest time of the year. You could argue that. Pretty crazy stuff. With that coming out, I just want to say that so far we're seeing a lot of buyers defending the markets in anticipation of it, and we're doing a good job at holding up. So, in my opinion, if you look at history, when we hit our 20 EMA, we bounced, we hit it again, we bounced, came here, bounced. This suggests the market will most likely try to push up higher tomorrow to try to get back up to about 584. If we lose 579.78, we're going to turn more bearish and start looking for that dip. But this is still suggesting that we're trying to bounce and push up higher. So I think that the odds are favoring the upwards direction. In my opinion, I think there's a good chance that SPY is going to try to push. I think there's a very, very good chance it's going to be continuing to pump higher. So the odds do favor that. And the odds are favoring the upwards direction as long as we hold this green 20 EMA. So we are looking more bullish unless we lose the green 20 EMA at 579.78. But as of right now, the charts favor upside. We're back up. For ES, the way this is looking is tomorrow morning, there could be a small dip coming. It might try to retest 58.75, but if this holds, as long as we hold around that range close to our 20 EMA, this could attempt to rebound and start pushing for 5,900. If we lose 58.70, we're looking for a dip back down to this imbalance, taking us down to 58.50. My guts tells me it's going to dip towards this and try to rebound. And so far, we're holding support, so the chart remains bullish. We haven't even lost our 50 EMA, the yellow line. We're still holding above it nicely. So this is still suggesting a small dip and then a bounce as the buyers are continuing to step in. There's no sign of us losing key support. For NVIDIA, we look more bullish because we dumped to our 50 EMA, 129. Then we bounced very nicely. And I said yesterday, we're going to be watching to see if we can get that rebound. In my morning video, I said that we're going to be looking for an attempt to get up to 135, and that's what happened so far. So if we're bearish, you want to see NVIDIA lose 133.76 tomorrow. If that fails us, we're dipping. As long as we're above that, we favor upside. And this has an imbalance to fill up to about 137, not to mention a retest of the highs. So I think 137 to about the 139 area, this very, very key zone up here is going to likely be tested. So the odds are favoring us going all the way back up to at least 137 or higher. I think it's very probable, so we'll have to see how things end up moving from here. For Bitcoin's kind of shuffling right here. We have 68,000 as our resistance. We have the support down here around this 66,900 area. We're stuck in this range, but there's a good chance that Bitcoin will continue to pump as we're making higher highs and higher lows. So we will see how things go, but watch and see. We could dip a little bit towards the 67,000 area before it tries to rebound, but nonetheless, Bitcoin remains more bullish. For others out there, we have Tesla. So Tesla's attempting to rebound. I think that as long as there's no bad news, this will slowly make its way up to about 224.84. That's going to be our 20 EMA. I think we're going to be looking for a retest. But here are the levels. If we lose 220, we're looking for 217 as our main support. And if that fails us, I'm looking for 215. Below that, this is going to be dumping much lower. So lose 215, we turn more bearish. As long as we're above 220, this is favoring 224. The 224 is a nice little rebound, and the 4 hour is looking a little bit more bullish as we're looking for a bullish PPO crossover. So this suggests we're going up to about just under 225. I think Tesla may attempt to rebound a bit. So watch and see how this ends up progressing. For NQ is trying to rebound. Look for basically 20,346 as resistance. If it manages to break this, we're looking for 20,400. If it rejects here, we're going to be dipping back down. My gut is telling me it's going to dip a little bit more. It's not showing as much strength as the QQQ and many others. Might dip a little bit to about 20,250, maybe a little bit above that to the 20,300 area before it tries to bounce back up and start pushing higher. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. For the QQQ, we're range bound right here. If we break past 492, we're looking for a pump all the way up towards 494. If we lose 489, we're going to be looking for a dip back down towards the 486 area. So we're kind of stuck in the middle, going back and forth and back and forth. My gut tells me this could be pushing up higher for about 492. So I think the odds favor 492 coming very, very soon. And we'll see if that breaks or not. But look for a little push, a little dip, then a push for 492 tomorrow morning. And we'll see if that breaks. I do think there's potential in this. So watch to see if that ends up being the case. As far as Apple goes, we are kind of rejecting around the 4-hour time frame. We have support at this 230.87 area. If we push higher, we're looking for basically the 233 area to be retested. And if we end up losing 230.87, we're looking for a dip back down to 228. My guts tells me that because Apple came down below our 20 EMA, but then got bought back up above 230, this is suggesting it wants to rebound a little bit more back up towards at least 233 for tomorrow. So look for a little bit more upside. We'll see if we reject to make a lower high or not compared to this high, but the odds are favoring a little bit of a bounce now as buyers are continuing to defend. Now, for the rest of these, let's talk about how the charts are looking. One more note, guys. I went over the main five in a little bit more detail. I'm going to be kind of quick with the rest of these, so just bear with me. So, what do I see for Palantir? Palantir needs to break past 42.38 to turn more bullish and push up to about 44. If we start dipping, we're looking for 41 as the main support, maybe a little bit above that for tomorrow. That's going to be our 50 EMA. If that fails us, this will be dipping all the way down towards 40 flat. My gut is telling me that this is most likely going to be dipping to about 41. So look for 41 as our potential target. I think the odds favor that being tested. So watch to see if that ends up being the case. For others out there, we have Supermicro. It's holding its 20 EMA very, very nicely. This is still looking a little bit more bullish as it's trying to rebound with NVIDIA. So it's following NVIDIA. If it loses 47.5, we look for 46 to be tested. If we hold above 48, we're looking for a price target of about 51. And if that breaks, we're looking for a bigger push all the way up towards the next imbalance, towards 53.5. My gut is telling me that we're holding support nicely and that 50.73 is coming. So we are favoring the upside. And I think that we're going to likely be looking for a pushback up towards just under 52. So we look a little bit more bullish. We'll see what happens with TSMC's earnings for tomorrow. That's going to have a big effect on this. So don't forget about this right here. Otherwise, we still look a little bit more bullish, technically speaking. For Rivian, we're just consolidating, not really doing a whole lot. It might try to test 10.31 tomorrow for a small push before it continues to consolidate. So look for some sideways price action between 10.1 and about the 10.3 area, but it's not really doing much. ARM, oh no, not ARM, SoFi, excuse me, guys. SoFi is dipping a little bit. It got a nice pop at some bank earnings, but now it's slowing down. We have 10 as our main support. If 10 fails us, we dip down to about 9.6. If we break past 10.4, we're looking for a bounce. My guts tells me this might be losing 10 and start dipping back down to about 9.6. So watch to see if that ends up being the case. I think 10 is going to be our support. If that fails us, we're looking from 9.6 as our support. So watch to see if we get that dip. As far as the IWM Russell 2000 ends up going, I think that this is looking a little bit more bullish from a technical standpoint as we have a nice structure here. So we are basically making higher lows and we're doing a good job. If we lose 225, we're looking for a dip back down towards 222.74. As long as we hold above that, I think the odds are favoring this attempting to push up closer to about 228. So the Russell looks more bullish. 228 is a strong possibility. So far, the buyers have a bigger edge. So watch to see if that ends up being the case. For AMD, AMD's on a bit of a downtrend right over here. We're basically looking at this resistance at 157. This is going to be our 200 EMA. If we break through this, we're looking for a bigger push for 160. If we reject here, we're looking for a big dump back down towards 152. So if 155 fails, let's look for 152, followed by this gap fill all the way down to about 149. My gut tells me AMD looks a little bit more bearish, especially after their big events, because of the fact that they had to kind of cut their overall sales by a bit. So that's not the best of news that came out. This is favoring that because as long as you remain below 157, I think the odds are favoring a dip back down to about 152. So it looks a little bit more bearish to me. For ARM is doing a good job at holding up. It depends if we could hold above 152. If 152 holds, we're going back up towards 155. If we lose that, we're going to be dipping back down towards 150. My gut tells me because we're holding above 152, the odds are favoring 155. So there might be a little bit of a rebound that comes very, very soon. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. For coin is trying to pump very, very nicely. We've been attempting to push. We have a nice looking bullish structure so far as we're making higher lows. If we were to lose basically support around 208, we're looking for 205 as our next target, followed by the 200 area. So we're going to be looking at those supports. If we break past 212, we're looking for a pushback up towards 220. My gut tells me this is looking more bullish. We have a lot of upside potential after we got such a big day. So this could attempt to push for 212, if not 215, but we'll see if the move ends up lasting or not. But so far, so good. Amazon stuck in the middle. We have this resistance to watch for around 187. If that breaks, we're looking for 188. If we end up losing 185, we're looking for a dip back down towards 183.8. We're stuck in the middle, but I think the odds are favoring this upwards move all the way up to about 188. So give this the time it needs. For Meta, we've been dipping a bit. We're going to be looking to see if there's going to be a small rebound attempt before it may continue lower. So be very mindful of that. Tomorrow it might attempt to get back up to about 580, but then it could reject and start to continue to dip as we have bearish momentum that's building. So we have a double top, which could bring us all the way down to about the lower 570 area. So I think we're going to be dipping lower. We might pop a bit in the morning, get close to 580 to grab liquidity before it continues to dip down to this imbalance, taking us down to about 570. For others out there, we have Microsoft. Microsoft's on a bit of a downtrend, looking a little bit more bearish. We ended up rejecting and we didn't hold above our 420 area. So as we're making lower highs, the odds are favoring that this is going to be dipping back down towards 414. And if that fails us, we're going to be dipping all the way down towards the 410 area. So this is looking a little bit more bearish to me. We need to get back above 418 to turn back up. Otherwise, we're going to likely continue to fall down to 414 and below. For Google, we're also rejecting right over here. We're making lower highs so far. We have 165 as our main support. So we'll have to see if this holds. We could be dipping back down to 165. We'll see if we bounce or not, but look for a little bit more downside potential in Google. I still think we could test 165 and we'll see what kind of reaction we get from there. For a few more, TJT made a very, very big bullish move so far. This is holding up very, very well. So we're holding our 20 EMA very nicely, and this imbalance will likely take us up to about the 33.5 area. So I think we're going to likely be pushing up to about 33.5. This is still looking more bullish. The VIX is rejecting, making lower highs so far, so it still looks more bearish. And I see that there's this gap to fill. So if the VIX loses support around this 19.5 area, it easily comes down to the lower 19s, maybe closer to about the 18.36 area, which makes it look bearish. That would suggest that overall, the market could remain more bullish as this is bearish, so we'll have to see how this ends up progressing. For the 10-year Treasury yield, we basically have support around this 3.995 area. This is once again moving with the market. We'll see if we get a bounce to fill these gaps, but be very patient. What else is still pumping is the dollar index. This remains bullish, but this could be a trap as it's not really affecting the market as much. The market's still holding it very nicely. So look at this resistance around 103.5 and support at 103.23. We're stuck in the middle, but this still remains bullish. And it's not really affecting the market as much. So don't really worry about that slowing the market down as the market still looks more bullish. So am I some kind of perma bull or perma bear? I learned a very important lesson in my years of trading, and that is you have to remember to just try to be unbiased a lot of the time. There's a lot of times where we have these presuppositions that the market's going to crash, the market's going to rally, and it completely messes up our trades, right? We could just start shorting for no reason, start buying for no reason. Don't do that. Just try your best to remind yourself to be unbiased. We're going to throw our biases away and we're prepared for anything the market's going to throw at us, whether it's a dump or a pump. Right now, I do want to note that the technicals do suggest upside is looking more probable, looking at the 4-hour time frame and the imbalances above for SPY and the other tickers out there. So those are more of the probable moves for tomorrow. But just to be safe, like I always tell you guys, you have to be able to play the market no matter what it throws your way. So be unbiased, be bold, be brave, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one by tomorrow. So have a good day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the world. I hope you guys do very, very well with your trades or whatever it is that you're interested in doing. And as far as seasonality goes, we're getting very close to the election. October is historically a weak month, but so far it hasn't done that. It still is possible we get some kind of dip approaching the election, but there's no sign of it yet. So don't just, jump in and YOLO into positions thinking it's going to come. Even if you end up being right, like it's just, you're basically gambling if you do that because there's no confirmation in the chart that you're dumping yet. So that's the main thing I like to really do. I like to be very patient, wait for confirmation, and kind of be very disciplined with my trades. And I think that can increase your odds of success as well. So manage risks, be very disciplined, and throw your biases away. Don't be too, I mean, we all have biases, of course, but I'm trying to say don't be way too biased to the point where it messes you up. So we'll see what the market does. Be prepared for anything. Yes, the odds do favor upside from here, but we will see just to be safe. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow. So thank you for listening. Have a good day and peace out.